Hi, everybody. My name is Melissa Rohen, and I am really excited to welcome you to our class. We're going to be doing a workshop on creative writing for this term, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be working with you guys. So let's talk a little bit about me and about my teaching style. I actually took this class years ago. I got my master's degree and my bachelor's degree at Southern New Hampshire University quite a while ago now. But what that means is I've literally been in your shoes. I've been on the other side of the screen. And one of the most important things I want to remind you guys is I have been through these types of classes. I have literally taken this course with you. So I understand the unique challenges that we face as students, as creative writers, and as long distance or virtual learners. So anytime you have any questions at all, please, please, please do not hesitate to get a hold of me. Throughout the entire term, you're going to hear it probably, I don't know, to exaggerate just slightly, a billion times, that I am here to support your success. But I cannot support your success if you do not communicate with me. So I am always here to support you. Just, talk with me. So, a little bit about me professionally. I have been teaching for just about a decade. I've worked in academia for ever since I was 18. It was my first job. I dove right into college life, both as a student and as an employee, and I just sort of worked my way up. I have a master's degree in English and fiction, focusing on creative writing and short stories. I've been published several times, mostly my short fiction work and my microfiction. And like most writers, I have several stories in progress, and my den is covered in post-it notes with ideas of stories that I would like to write one day. All right, so who am I personally? I am that person who, if you have a dog, I'm going to talk to your dog first. These are my doggos. I have four. They're all pit mixes. Up here on the left, top left, we have Barbosa. He's my oldest boy. He's a rescue fight dog, and he's just a big old baby now in his old age. Next to the right of him, we have Evie. She is my pit bull who is afraid of literally everything, even a breeze or a flower or a speck of dust. She is very, very skittish of everything, but just a big, adorable baby as well. On the bottom left, we have my biggest girl. This is Beatrix. She's a lab pit mix. Can't keep her out of the water, and she loves to lay on her belly and ask for scritches. And then this is our new guy. This is Gus. He is a pit bull mix, and he's about 9-10 weeks old and just a ball full of playful fur and nipping milk teeth. I absolutely love dogs, but perhaps the one thing I love more than dogs is teaching. And I know that sounds cliche and ridiculous, and maybe tomorrow it won't be as true when I'm playing with my dogs, but when I'm sitting here talking to you guys, this is my passion. I love the written word. I'm an avid reader, like I'm sure most of you are. I love writing. It's what we do. You'll hear a lot of people often say we don't write because we necessarily want to. We write because we have to. And in this term, we're going to take that passion and that skills and kind of hone it a little bit. So the most important thing to remember about me, besides the fact that I love dogs and I'm here to support you, is I understand where you're coming from, particularly in these challenging times that we are facing right now. I know that college can be hard and writing might not come as easy as we want it to, but you got this, I got you back, and we're going to get through the term together. Success in this class is 100% possible. You can definitely do it. One of the keys to strategies that we're going to talk about in terms of success is making time to work on your classwork and making time to write. We cannot be writers if we do not make time to write. As writers, we also have a responsibility for reading. So some of our assignments are going to be reading, analyzing the short stories that we're reading, and then having conversations about it. We're also going to do discussion forums and workshops. And the workload is okay, but we are in college. So if you ever find yourself struggling with the workload, let me know. The key to success in this class is being dedicated to your own success as a student and as a writer, and also to doing the work. And again, if you have any questions at all on what we're doing, reach out to me. I'm here to support you. And as I've said, I don't know, keep a tally. Communication is key. It is important. I don't ever ask for your personal information. I'm not actually allowed to ask for your personal information. I will email you. I will post announcements regularly. I will do quite a few of these videos, but we can also text. If you want to have a question, text me, email me. We can even do Zoom or anything like that. Whatever you need to feel comfortable to talk to me, let me know. The key to success in anything that we do is having an open line of communication. So remember, I'm a real person. I'm here to support you. Let me do my job and do right by you by communicating with me. One of the challenges that we have as writers, whether we're new writers or old, super successful like Stephen King writers, is we get hung up on this idea that perfection is a thing in writing. I want you to take that idea and throw it out the window. Perfection isn't a thing. There's no such thing as a perfect piece of writing, and we should not ever sit down at our computer or at our legal pad or at our typewriter and expect to have a perfect draft. It's just not the way it's done. If we insist on having a first draft that is perfect, we are limiting our potential. Through our drafts, that's where we find the nuances that maybe aren't working. That's where we find that our dialogue perhaps is not as sterling and as fast-paced as we want it. Our characters don't have that depth that our favorite literary characters have. Perfection is not a thing in writing, and I know it is easier said than done. Trust me, I've been there. I'm still there. We want to have perfection in our writing, but that is a process. Allow yourself to write incomplete sentences. Allow yourself to develop characters that are a little bit flat. And through our drafting process, that's where the magic happens. That's where we build this world and these characters. Allow yourself to make mistakes. That's the number one piece of advice that I can give you. That's the second number one piece of advice I can give you. The number one piece of advice we'll get to in just a sec. Discussion boards are not everybody's favorite thing. Trust me, I understand that both as a professor and as a student. As students, I did not particularly enjoy discussion boards. As a professor, they are not my favorite thing to grade. But in the digital world, it's the way that we can have a class discussion right now. We are expected to, by our university, to participate in discussion boards. It's how we build our community in our classroom. It's how we have that, let's raise our hand and have a conversation digitally. So I encourage you to post often and early in our discussion boards. We do have a requirement that all discussion board posts need to be submitted, our initial one at least, our answer needs to be submitted by Thursday, and then at least 2 peer responses by Sunday. And we do that because if you're anything like me and you're a procrastinator, because procrastination is a thing, I would wait until Sunday to post the discussion boards. But we really can't have a discussion if everybody waits until 2 minutes before the assignment is due. So we do have the requirement that our first discussion board is due on Thursday, and then we can have a couple days to foster discussion and communication. And I will send out reminders for when discussion boards are due and whatnot. Don't think of these as a boring requirement. Think of them as an opportunity to connect with your professor, connect with the content, and connect with each other. Another aspect of our class that I want to go over really quick is our workshop. A couple of our activities will be workshopping each other. So we'll submit maybe a character sketch, maybe a draft to the class in a discussion forum setting, and then we will sort of review it. We'll have peer reviews of it. And we have some pretty specific guidelines that we need to follow, and we'll go over that when it's time. But I want you to be open to workshopping. It can be hard to put yourself out there. I understand that as a writer, as a teacher, as a professor. But that's the whole point of writing for most of us, is to get our work out there. And 2 heads are better than 1, or so they say. So when we have a character that we've developed, allowing our peers to read it and comment on it will help us strengthen that character. And the same is true for our writing. So let's go into our workshopping activities with an open mind and a willingness to be constructive and to allow ourselves to hear constructive criticism. And it's only going to improve our writing when we do that. Feedback is perhaps the most awesome thing. I provide pretty substantial feedback. I will fulfill the rubrics as required, and I will also do line commentary on our drafts and stuff. Feedback is essential because it allows me to communicate with you in terms of the technical aspects. Are we hitting the critical elements of the rubric? But also it allows us, you and I, to have a conversation on what's working well in your writing and maybe what's not working as well as we would like in your writing. So always be sure to check back for feedback. If you're not sure how, let me know, and I'll be happy to walk you through it. One of the bits of advice, or perhaps one of the things that we tend to struggle with as writers, is our characters. One of the most common concerns is that our characters are flat. This happens when we forget that our characters are people. Okay, they're not perfect ideas or archetypes. Our heroes that we love from the Marvel universe or Game of Thrones or whatever stories you're into, our heroes are they have flaws. They get cut. They are bruised up. They might think so greatly of themselves that they come across as arrogant instead of confident. Characters are people, regardless of what their species may be. They are people. Therefore, they need to be flawed. They need to have conflict. They cannot be perfect and they cannot be dull. We don't want to have a teenage character who is just a teenage archetype of the ugly duckling girl who gets a makeover. That can be the crutch of our story, but we need to give that girl some depth. What makes her laugh? What is she afraid of? What does our hero, our big brave Thor like hero, get spooked by mice? Give your characters flaws, dig deeper beneath their personality, and remember that they're not just flat pictures. Let's give them some depth. And the way that we do that is by getting to truly know our characters. Okay. Dig deep. What do they drink for their coffee? Even if they never drink coffee, how would they take it? So let's give some real deep thought about what our characters are as people and as characters. Scenes are worlds. Remember that we don't simply exist in the real world, we experience it. We smell things, we feel things, we get shivers for no reason. We feel the hardness of the chair beneath us as we're sitting there waiting for our boss to talk to us. Make sure you pay attention to these details and describe them, but also have your characters engage with your world. That's another way that you can add depth to the environment that we are building. Dialogue is hard. It's one of the biggest challenges that we have as creative writers. However, it doesn't have to be. One of the tips for success with dialogue is to remember it's a natural activity. We don't talk at each other, and neither should our characters. We say things like, we scratch our ear when we're nervous, we play with our hair, we eat sandwiches or get distracted by our phones, we pause, we interrupt. Don't have long streams of dialogue. Have your characters sigh, have them react, have them use their body language to communicate, have them watch a car as it drives by if they're not ready to answer. Remember, dialogue is not just speaking, it's engaging. And again, I know I already mentioned this, but communication is a thing. Make sure you communicate with me if you have any questions at all. We can text, we can call, we can chat, we can use discussion forums, we can Zoom, whatever you need in order to maintain your success. Communicate with me. That's the best thing that you can do to support your own success in this or any class that you take. And this is the number one bit of advice that I can give you as a writer, whether you're new to this or you're taking this class as a lark or you're already published. You cannot be a writer if you do not write. I know that comes across harsh and you're going to hear me say it a lot. You cannot be a writer if you do not write. We need to write every day. A lot of our text is going to reiterate that. Write every day if you can. And I'm not very great at this. I will readily admit it. But set time aside to write. Set a place aside to write. If writing is your passion or a career goal, you need to actually write in order to achieve that. So even if it's just a sentence a day, if it's 5 minutes, if it's an hour, whatever works for you, make sure you write. We'll have lots of opportunities for exercises in this class. Our textbooks have several. Take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, take an hour, whatever you have every day, write. Get into the habit of doing it, and then it'll be easier to continue to write and write and write. Writers write. It's what we do. I want you to remember that you can do this. I know that online classes can get frustrating. I know that waiting to hear for a reply from an email can get frustrating, but you can do this. Number one tip for success, communicate with me. Number one tip for writing success, let's write. You can do this. Let's do it together. It's going to be an amazing term. You got this.